What is up, YouTube family? Welcome to our 11th lesson on our free Amazon mini course on wholesale. Now, this one is entitled Having Some Guidelines, and the basic premise of this is it doesn't have to be my guidelines or anyone else's guidelines, but you have to figure out your own guidelines because this is your own business. And we're going to be going through several guidelines and steps and internal processes for your business, and hopefully this can give you some further clarification on what you should be buying, how much you should be buying, what your profit margin per each item you should be aiming at, how many units of a certain product you should be buying, and whether or not you should buy their entire catalog for the wholesaler or specific product. So let's jump right into our presentation here, and we'll start with our first guideline, which is an important one, right? So ROI. What is your minimum ROI? Typically, this is the lowest ROI that you will accept. Some sellers go as low as 50%, which is half of what they bought the product for, right? And I'll go ahead and explain that in a second. But I think typically you shouldn't be aiming at anything less than 100%, which is 2 to 1, right? So, for example, let's jump in. Let's say you buy this NordPro cup, and let's pull it up here. Cup, do they have? I think they should. Oh yeah, let's do this cup warmer. And now the numbers aren't going to be exactly right because the prices change and all that, but just as an example, let's say we buy this at $3, okay, and we're able to sell it for $19, and our profit with Amazon fees, PPC, everything else, our bottom line profit is $8. Now our ROI is going to be $8. Let me just pull it up here. $8, which is our profit, divided by the $3 that we paid for, so it's 2.6, right? That's the return on our investment. We bought it for 3, we made 8. 2.6 or times 100, 266%, which is good, right? Again, anything less than 100 is, it's eating up your margins. So if I buy something at $3, I want to make a profit of $3, or that's one ROI or 100%. Okay, so that's ROI. It's pretty easy to calculate, but you really want to know your numbers. I think a lot of people just measure profit margin, which is fine too. You just want to know how much you're making on what you've invested, right? So that's pretty important. Next one is volume and rank. So when you're calculating your share of potential sales on this specific product, what's the lowest number of units you're willing to potentially buy? So again, this comes back to the rank of an item, and again, how many competitors there are. So let's stick with our NordPro cup warmer example. And obviously the rank of this product is 10,000 in kitchen, and we'll dig deeper into that. Okay, so it's 10,000 in home and kitchen, and there's only one seller on this, and it seems like it's Amazon, right? So in stock, ships and sold by Amazon. So if this is something you could sell, if Amazon wasn't on it, this is how we would calculate it. Okay, so 10,000 BSR. I'm going to use my helium-10 calculator, or X-ray calculator, to see how many this is selling. And again, keep in mind, this is assuming that Amazon is not on the listing, because we typically don't want to sell products that Amazon is selling themselves, because we're not going to get the buy box, and they're going to pretty much control the buy box and the sales. But it's selling 325 monthly. Now that would give us a monthly budget, or a monthly number of units that we can buy, and I typically like to buy for 3 months. So again, going back to this, if it's selling 325 monthly times 3 months, I would want to buy 975 of these. Again, that's my guideline. If you guys, and there are lots of variables in this. Amazon is selling this. If there were 40 other sellers, it would vary. I would want to check the price and the price fluctuation. I would want to check the year fluctuation of rank, and there's just a host of other things that I'm going to check. Right, so that's just a sample guideline here. Okay. Next, moving on, is our minimum margin dollar per item. This is similar to ROI, but it's essentially what's the absolute minimum we're willing to make on a specific item. Are you willing to sell this at $14.99, $14.95 and make $1 off of it, 50 cents off of it? That's something that you would have to figure out for your profit margin, right? I think anything, again, under $1, it's not going to really make sense. So you want to make 30, even 20 to 30% profit, right? If you're going to 15 and you're pushing volume, that's your guideline, and props to you for doing that. But you just essentially want to know per item, what's the minimum dollar amount that I want to make. Okay, again, this is mostly based on your internal processing costs, the risk that you have, the risk tolerance that you have, and how you want to structure your business. Okay. Second to last thing we want to look at is the max number of units you want to order per item. So again, if the profit margin, if you figure out the ROI, you figured out how many units are selling, how many competitors are on that listing, and what your base profit margin is, now you want to figure out what the max number of units I can buy. And again, this is based on your internal risk tolerance, also based a lot on research on Amazon, seeing how well it's selling on Amazon and how many competitors there are. I can't stress enough how much Helium-10 helps in this. You can see you can break it down by category and see how much revenue is being done on each product, and you can go listing basis on a listing basis and see for the year or all time or 90 days, 30 days how well this product has done. Okay, so it doesn't just have to be Helium-10. A Jungle Scout has it, Viral Launch has it, and there are lots of others. But have some kind of software that tells you the numbers on Amazon and how well this product is selling, so that you can have data to base it off of. Okay, and again, if there are competitors, then you want to dig into the competitors, see how many units they have in stock, and the like. Okay, now the last thing we want to cover is a testing fund. Okay, so you're doing wholesale arbitrage. You want to set aside a small percentage, a big percentage, whatever the percentage is that you're comfortable with. Maybe if instead of taking the money out for yourself and splurging, you can set that percentage aside as a testing fund. And what this testing fund is pretty much your splurge money in the business. I highly recommend, if you're in wholesale, to have a portion dedicated to private label. Why only expose yourself to wholesale risks and arbitrage risks, right? Set aside 5% of the funds, of the profits that you're making, to wholesale. And once you have $5,000 or $10,000 saved up, whatever the number is that you want to test with for your private label business, then you can invest that into a product, into a launch of a product, into building a website, into a host of other things, right? Have your money that's allocated into something else. Maybe it could even be for a completely different business. But I would recommend, if you're in e-commerce, obviously if it's working, it will be working if you're doing the right steps and contacting the right wholesalers, which hopefully we can help you do that. And if, by the way, if any of this doesn't make sense, if you want to get connected with wholesalers, comment below, message me, I'll connect you. As long as your business is operating. I'm assuming you guys are in business, you guys are hustling and getting the products up and running, which is the easy part, right? All this stuff will get more difficult as you're doing it. But if you're not If you don't have any wholesalers to contact, please reach out to me. I have products available. I'm willing to help you get them started and launched, and hopefully you're making enough money from wholesale and arbitrage to save up this money so that you can start your own brand and your own product line, because that's where the big bucks are. If you've started your own brand, you have your own website, own social followings, everything you're building is yours on an asset basis, and you go to sell that company or position to sell that company, it's going to be much, much more valuable than an arbitrage business or a wholesale business. So always, this is probably my favorite part, and the reason why I've transitioned away from wholesale is private label business, and creating my own product is much more valuable than simply selling products on Amazon, right? So I hope that this video has helped you and given you some kind of guidance on what you should buy, what you shouldn't buy, how much of it you should buy, what your minimum profit should be, and what your ROI should be. So with that said, we'll continue with lesson number 12, and I hope to see you there.